How's it going, everyone? Welcome to my channel and welcome to another God of War Ragnarok video. Now, for yesterday's video, I did a God of Time build, which was an entire build based off of slowing down time, and some of you guys liked that video, so I decided to make another one. But in this video, I think this build is even more powerful, and this build will pretty much make you indestructible. But before we jump into it, slight spoiler warning, this is a mid-game to late-game build. You have to reach a certain part in the story before you can do this. But the cool thing about this armor is that you can get it kind of early in your playthrough. It really just depends on how much of the story you get accomplished before you decide to venture out and do the side missions. So final warning, if you don't want to be spoiled, turn away now. Okay, so getting right into it, the first thing that you're going to need to have is the spear. You have to get far enough in the story, which is about midway through the story, you have to unlock the new spear. Because you're going to need the spear if you want to unlock the Steinborn armor. I probably butchered that, I don't know how to say it. And what it does is after significant damage is taken, Kratos' attacks will restore some lost health for some time. So after you take some damage, it activates and you basically can siphon health. So I'm going to show you where to get this armor because the armor on itself is really good, and if you're a good player, it will make you pretty close to impossible to kill, but I'm going to take things a step further and make it really impossible for you to die later on in this video. But first you're going to need the spear, and you're going to need to go to Midgard, and you're going to want to go to this little part of the map. It's pretty close to the middle of the map. You're going to see this big block that you're going to have to break open with your spear. This is where you're going to find the mystical heirloom relic. And once you have that, it says that it awakens something dormant deep down inside the bearer. So this doesn't help you in combat in any way, shape, or form. What you're going to use this for is to wake up these giants that are scattered throughout the lands. So luckily for you, one of them is already on Midgard. What you're going to want to do is go to the derelict outpost. I think by this point in the story, you should already have this area unlocked. You just want to keep traveling through the derelict outpost, and then you will come across this giant statue. He's just kind of chilling here, completely frozen, and he's going to stay frozen until you activate that relic that you just got. So once you activate the relic, it will awaken the giant, and then you just have to kill him like normal. So once you kill him, he's going to drop some resources, but you're not done yet. You have to kill 3 more of these giants in other locations. The next 2 giants are both located at Vanaheim. So just go to where I'm at on the map, and then once you get here, there are 2 more giants. One is resistant to fire and one is resistant to frost, so fighting them both at the same time is pretty difficult. I recommend you just fight one at a time, otherwise it could be a bit tricky. And then once you kill those 2, the final giant location is over in the Forbidden Sands on Alfheim. Just go to where I'm at on the map, and once you kill him, he's going to drop the final bit of resources for you. And then once you've defeated all the giants, just go to the nearest blacksmith location and you can craft the full armor set. So now that you have the armor set, honestly, the armor is so good, it's going to be pretty hard for you to die anyway. But I'm going to take things the next step further, and I'm going to show you the build guide that I made to make myself pretty much indestructible. Alright, so getting into the build to make you indestructible. For the chest armor, I went with the new chest piece that we just got. After significant damage is taken, Kratos' attacks will restore some lost health for a time. And then for the wrist armor, I'm going for the Braces of Raven Tears. Now you get this wrist armor by unlocking 3 of the Raven chests. You have to go around throughout the game and kill enough ravens to unlock 3 of the chests. And once that 3rd chest is open, you will have the full set of the Raven Tears. So for the wrist armor, I'm going with the Raven Tears because it increases the healing from Healthstones, Rage, and Gear, and only have 1 piece equipped, so that gives me a 15% increase for healing stones. Then for the waist armor, I'm going with the Surtur's Scorched Girdle. Kratos takes reduced damage and has increased dagger resistance during his basic attacks and skills, and because I only have 1 piece of this equipped, it's giving me a 20% damage reduction. But the main reason I'm going with this as my waist armor is because it comes with such a high defense stat that it puts my overall total defense up to 497. So this right here has almost completely maxed out my defense, meaning I could just truck tons and tons of damage because my defense is so high. As you can see here, based off of stats, it says defense decreases incoming damage. So the higher that number is, the better. And you get this girdle by completing the Crucible on Muspelheim. Basically just do all of the combat trials and you will unlock that armor set. So my chest is Steinborn, my wrist armor is the Raven Tears, and then my waist armor is Surtur's Scorched Girdle. So I'm wearing 3 different pieces of armor. And then I'll go over the amulet here in a second because I want to go over my weapons first. For the Leviathan axe, I went with the Grip of the Fallen Alchemist. It says high luck chance to grant a health burst on any successful hit with the Serpent Snare skill. And the Serpent Snare skill is just holding in the right trigger ability. So anytime I use the right trigger ability and I get that big hit off, it has a high luck chance it's going to grant me a health burst. So anytime I use that ability, it is going to heal me. So that's a huge plus. And then my abilities don't really make that much of a difference, but I'm using Scotty's Edge and the Mists of Halheim. And then for the Blades of Chaos, my pommel is activating the Furious Immolation, will trigger a realm shift. So this will freeze time when I activate it. But the reason I have this equipped is because of the different stats that it gives me, not because of its ability. I had to have high stats, which you'll see why when I get to explaining the amulet. And then my attacks, I have Rampage of Furies and Meteoric Slam, but the abilities aren't really too important for this build. And then getting into the spear handle, I have the Hind of Volatile Might. This isn't too important either. I mainly just equipped this so that I would have higher defense and higher vitality. So I mainly have this equipped just for its stats. And then my light attack is Mountain Splitter, and then my heavy attack is the Finger of Ruin. And then getting into the shield, this is kind of important. I went with the Stonewall Shield for its stats. It gives me 130 defense and 26 vitality. And then for the shield attachment, I went with the Rod of Restoration. It comes with 29 defense and 34 vitality. And it says, on taking damage, Kratos has a luck chance to gain defense for his next shield strike. Double tap L1, hit to restore health. The chance increases with lower health. So double tapping L1 with my shield will grant me some health if I'm in combat. So right away, I have two different abilities that can heal me. If I hold in right trigger with my axe, that can heal me. And then if I double tap L1 with my shield, that can heal me. And then for Spartan Rage, I went with Valor because this is a health build, and Valor is the rage mode that gives you more health. Press L3 and R3 to consume a chunk of Spartan Rage and gain a moderate burst of health. Time it right before being hit to negate incoming attacks, gain additional burst of healing, and grant a melee attack bonus. So you get a burst of health and you can do more melee damage. And then for the Relic, I went with the Hilt of Frozenbrander, I think's how you say it. And it pushes enemies back with force and grants an aura of protection. Now you get this by completing all of the Raven chests. Once you complete and open all the Raven chests, you're going to have like a boss fight, and you defeat that boss fight and it will drop this relic for you. And anytime you activate it, it's going to do damage to enemies, and it's going to give you this aura of protection, which will negate a lot of incoming damage. Now getting into the amulet, this is where things get interesting, and this is where it makes you really OP. I have the Greater Regenerating Essence. It adds a greater amount of constant health regeneration. And then I have the Regular Regenerating Essence, which adds a small amount of constant health regeneration. So between these two, I am just constantly passively regenerating health at all times, which is really great. Then we have the Crest of Desperate Heroics. When Kratos' health drops to a critical level, it grants a short invincible barrier, buff to strength, and a health burst when complete. So anytime you get low on health, it's immediately going to make you invincible for a couple seconds, and then once that invincibility barrier is over, it's going to give you a burst of health. But this is stacked with these two, which is constantly regenerating my health, so when I have that invincible barrier up protecting me, I'm constantly regenerating my health back, and then when that invincible barrier ends, I'm getting a burst of health back. Then next up, we have the Stone Idol of Souls. Using Healthstone or Rage Stone grants Soul Steal, during which a small amount of health and rage is restored when striking enemies. So anytime you pick up a Healthstone, you're going to get health from the Healthstone, and then you're going to get Soul Steal, which lets you siphon health and rage while you're striking enemies. So you get health initially from picking up the stone, and then you can siphon even more when you're attacking. Next up, we have a very high chance to grant a health burst on any successful runic attack kill. So anytime I use one of my weapon's runic abilities and I get a kill, it has a very high chance that it's going to heal me when I do so. So that's another way to heal myself. Then we have some damage resistance perks. We have 25% resistance to all status effects. This includes Frost, Burn, Blind, Daze, Poison, Shock, and Bifrost. So 25% resistance to everything. Then I have this one, Poison Protector, increases resistance to poison by 50%. So I have even more damage resistance. Then we have the Bright-Eyed Emblem, increases resistance to Blind and Daze by 50%. So that's stacking with the other one. So that brings me up to a total of 75% 5% resistance to blind and daze. And then the bottom one, we have Spartan Rage Valor. It heals less but provides a powerful buff to strength and lifesteal for a duration. So anytime I activate my Spartan Rage, it's going to give me this burst of health, and then it's going to make me stronger and give me more lifesteal. So as soon as I activate that, I'm going to be siphoning health from the enemies. So when you combine all of these different things at the same time, all of these different enchantments that are in my amulet, my waist armor that reduces my incoming damage, my wrist armor which gives me more healing from health stones, and my chest armor where anytime I take some damage, I'm going to get this siphon ability. And when you combine all these different ways that you can heal yourself with my 497 defense, I am basically an indestructible Kratos. And I say this because I tested it, and the only way I was able to die is if I put down my controller and just didn't play. Because if you are playing this game at all and you're hitting your opponents and you're doing significant damage and you're using your shield and you're dodging and stuff, if you're just playing the game like normal, you're going to be getting so much health constantly during combat that it's almost impossible for you to die. I tested it doing the kill 99 enemies challenge, and they didn't get me below half health the entire time. The only way they got me below half health is when I stopped playing and I just wanted to see how much damage they could do to me. So I basically killed 99 enemies without getting below half health. And then I tested it in the challenge mode where I faced the stronger enemy types, which are like mini bosses, and even they didn't get my health down below half health. And then if you have a resurrection stone, which can either bring you back to life with full health or bring you back to life with full rage. If for some reason you did die using this build and then you just got brought back to life with a whole second chance, there's no way that this build isn't going to defeat every single boss in this game. This build is just absolutely broken. Now in this build, I was playing on the second highest difficulty. The only reason I wasn't playing on the hardest is because I'd have to start a new game. But this build absolutely just wrecks everything on the second highest difficulty, so I would imagine that it's really good on the highest difficulty as well. But that is going to do it for my indestructible Kratos build. This is what a late game health build for Kratos is going to look like. But like I said, you can get the armor mid-game, and the armor by itself is really good, and I highly recommend it. And then there's a lot of room for plug and play. You don't have to have this exact build that I have for it to be usable mid-game. This is just what I have after unlocking everything, and this is what I was able to come up with late game Kratos. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and that is going to do it for me, everyone, and I will talk to you all in the next video.